this is a request as of very recent, with the additional folks that have joined on here in the past couple weeks, which I'm very thankful for, but also to address some folks that have been with me for quite a while. And number one, thank each and every one of you for whoever's watching this, every second that you decide to spend with me. I'm thankful. Got a camera right here, and I've got a camera right here, so you can see me ducking down trying to fulfill what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to go over, this is my live gigging rig, which I also use for studio work. The difference in the studio would be that I would not be having my wireless connected right now, which I have that just like it's my live rig. So let's start with pedal number one, which would be the Shure wireless, which is right there. That's the first one. That then goes into a Vox volume and wah pedal. Then that goes into the Peterson tuner. The Peterson tuner goes into the RC booster, which is a version 2 version of that pedal that has 2 stages of boost. We come out of that, we go into the small Nobles, which is another newer Nobles pedal. Out of that Nobles, we go into the more traditional Nobles, and every one of these is a gain pedal. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Then we come again into a graphic equalizer, Boss GE7, then out into the exotic SP compressor. We leave that, we run down into this little Moore 90 orange phaser, then that out to a Keeley Hydra, which is one side is reverb, the other side is tremolo. Out of there into a Nuix Atlantic, which is a reverb and a tap tempo delay. Out of that into a Boss IR200. The preset that I've always used is number 1, and right now it's literally the default. Lately here in the past 2 months, I am using this JHS, and I've lost the name of that pedal. That is a really cool Neve pedal that they have, and I apologize. What it's called is called, well, heck, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a really cool pedal. And then it's basically a 1073 or whatever that console channel strip would be. And it's a high dollar pedal that is designed off the circuitry of a Neve channel strip. And I apologize. It's called Color Box. That's what it's called. Version 2 Color Box. Now, at that point, we come out of that Color Box, and that Color Box is just basically reducing that 4K area on the high side and just giving me a good preamp. It's the same principle as being in a recording studio, except I'm using this live, and that's a great pedal because you can use it any which way that you want to, live or in the studio. Then I come into an AB switch. This is a JHS AB switch. Now, if I were wanting to go to my amplifier or just and bypass my looper pedals, which you're going to see here, these are the Boss RC ones, and I have 2 of them, and you'll see why in a minute. Then I kick it and go to that color, and that would send it directly to my amplifier, bypassing that direction going to these loopers. But when I'm doing the looping stuff, I send them to the loopers by going that direction. Then they would come out of the looper and go into the house system. Now the house system today is going to be an amplifier, so you're not going to see me hitting that at all. So that's the setup right there. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 16. Yeah, that's 16. It's 16 that I'm using. I've got the BG Bender brand new double bound red with the Lindy Fralin steel pole 42s. And I wanted to talk about what I refer to as the BUKOVAC Boost Concept. And I didn't come up with this, and I was watching Tom like so many of us have. And to give you a little background, I've had people ask me here recently what I've done and who I've played with. And I've been very fortunate to play with a lot of country music legends, namely the Drifting Cowboys, which was Hank Williams Sr.'s original men. And I was with the Drifting Cowboys for quite a while. And these are Hank Williams Sr.'s original members, of which there were two that I was fortunate to spend time with, Mr. Jerry Rivers on the fiddle and Mr. Don Helms on steel guitar. Now, playing tic-tac guitar for Hank Williams music doesn't require a lot of this kind of thought process. It was basically a hollow body Gibson guitar, chord, amplifier, and here we went with Hey Good Lookin', You're Cheating Hard, and all those great classics. So I'm coming to the ball game very late in terms of learning how to put a combination of pedals together. So to answer a couple folks how I came up with this, I didn't come up with this. What I have done is I've watched the people that are qualified to tell me through experience. And to me, there's nobody better than Tom. He is not only a pedigree that's incredibly bona fide in the live world, playing live with everybody he has and continues to play with, but he's also one of the most dominant session players to walk the planet Nashville. And it's from his experiences that he saw some of this concept through other people that he's been around for a long time, the people like Brent Masons, and prior to that, other ones that were doing some of this stuff. But all that to say, this BUKOVAC boosting method, which is more of a gain staging thing, which is several different gain stages. Well, that's where I got it from. So if you get a chance, Tom's channel is not necessarily an easy to find which episode it was, and he's got so much content, well over 1,000 videos up there. So I couldn't tell you any particular one to go watch, because it's been over dozens of them that he just talks for a moment about things like this. But specifically, that's where I got it from watching him for a while. So what do these gain stages do? It's really interesting, because you have your guitar going into, for me, this is a amp simulator. Now, this is where Tom and I differ. Tom is into the vintage gear, and I am too, don't get me wrong, I'm into it, but my application, there's no call for it. I'm here in the Florida Keys. It is absolutely pouring out today. I had to cancel a show yesterday, and my show was going to be outside. And so having vintage gear that you take, like old tube amplifiers and anything that's vintage, from your instrument to your pedal to, it's just a sacrificial environment. So over 1,000 shows that I've played down here in just the 9 years that we've been here, I guess now it's about 1,200 shows, I've made a disposable musical environment so I could easily replace something at a lesser price point than trying to replace a beautiful 50s tweed amplifier, just because I wanted to sonically sound as good as I could. These amp simulators, people can argue about them all they want to. Go ahead. We're not going to argue about them here, because I simply really don't care what other people get to say about them. I know what I'm hearing. I know what I need, and they fit the bill for what I do. I'm also fortunate to do a lot of studio work for a lot of producers back home, mostly in the demo world, and not major artists that are like what Tom is doing, obviously. But keep in mind, listen, I like to do other things than play guitar. I go fishing and hunting, and I have a life outside of music. And although I've made a living in the music industry and have been in the Nashville, Tennessee environment since the 80s, I do a lot of other things. So I don't focus 100% of my time on just this. Somebody like Tom is just, it's a lifetime full of incredible knowledge, just incredible. So therefore, when it comes to the things that I can garnish and steal from somebody like that, I'm going to, just like I would anybody. So let's talk about these gain stages. This guitar right now is just running directly into this Boss IR200, which then is running into the only other pedal that's engaged, that's on, and that would be the JHS color box, which is just reducing at a high level of quality that 4K, 3.5K sound. And listen, you're listening to audio quality off this camera, and I'm not doing anything fancy here with recording this for your ears. This is just over the mics that I have here on an iPhone and on this nice Sony camera. But to my ear right here, coming through an FR12 cabinet, yeah, very nice. So as we go through the gain stages, the first pedal, and you can use any of these pedals at any one given time, but let's talk about how many there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you want to get technical, you could have the color box be 7 if you wanted to. And if you wanted to set up this to be different, I don't, so I'm just telling you how I'm doing it. I very rarely use the second side of the exotic RC booster. It's a little difficult to get to, and it is just a ramp up in the volume, which I can do in a different manner. So I use the right side, which is more like the original version of that pedal. So here's without, and I don't know what this is going to sound like over these speakers, or these mics rather, but you should hear something a little different. And I am tuned to 440, and this pickup is not on the tone control. This one is. But let's hit the booster. Just a tiny bit of bump. In the backside, you might catch some of that dirt. To my ears, I can just hear the beginnings of breakup. If I turn this amplifier on, I'd get more an enhancement of that, but we're trying to keep everything relatively unloud here in this close environment. But it's just on the edge of breakup. If I hit the second part of that pedal, you can hear it ramps up several dB and making the gritty sound a little bit more present. Okay, shutting that one off, the next one in the line would be this Nobles. This is a newer version of the Nobles that has the controls all on the front, and I really enjoy these. These are been my favorite version of these pedals. Once again, I'm Tom BUKOVAC inspired thing. I'd never even heard of a Nobles pedal. Playing with Hank, you don't need Hank's guys. You don't need a lot of effects. So here's what this sounds like. You can just, boy, it's grittier. Although it's a slight grit, it's much more than the other exotic. And keep in mind, any combination of this might work, maybe it doesn't. Let's try it with the first half of the exotic. Sounds good? All right. Going out of that Nobles, we go directly up to the big one. This one is my so-called high gain sound. This is when I want to really hit some, smooth, but definitely much more sand and grit stuff from the Pink Floyd realm that I might play live. Which, keep in mind, I'm using this pedal board in this configuration typically 3.5, 4 straight hours when I play here in the Keys, 2 to 3 nights a week. So check it out. Nothing. The Nobles is such a cool pedal because it can give the appearance of having a kind of a fuzz type thing or distortion, especially if you start hitting them with these gain stages. Check this out. These other two boosters in front, and you put some of this tap tempo delay on this sound right here. Throw it up on that front pickup. Cool sound here. I'm hoping that it's translating well. Coming out of that, we have our Boss GE7, another stage of boost. And the cool thing about this is obviously we have frequency cutting that we can do, or additions, or whatever you want, in a series of 7 different bands. And in this situation, I typically take that last one, which is I think 6.4K, and I dip it all the way down, because when I get back on the back part of the, when I get on the bridge pickup, exaggerated right there, and I haven't actually goofed around with it with these Lindy Fralins yet to find out what exactly I would do. There's some cool combinations. Once again, this is a Tom BUKOVAC inspired sensible pedal. To him, it's the most deadliest weapon in the studio, changing tone at an instant and being a boost at the same time. Now, finally, I come out of that, and in my mind, my last gain stage pedal would be this RC1, excuse me, the Exotic SP compressor. So without it, actually turn it up a little bit. I don't have any perceivable compression happening. You can blend it. It's got 3 settings, high, mid, and low, in terms of the nature of how the compressor is heard and how it attacks. I have it on low. We've got some lightning here, so you might hear some popping. That's just in the neighborhood. It has a very pleasant roundness to it, and then of course, as we select any of these things, like this one right here, then hit that boost. That's all of them on right there. So you can see it's usable, and it changes per guitar, and it's not locked in. You know, every time you go play, something's different. Right now I have the FR12 straight up, and everything's just straight. Just that way there's no additional enhancement. Although, listen, every speaker is providing some type of enhancement, even if it's flat. There is no such thing as flat, because it's being enhanced by the qualities of whatever it is that is not that's not enhancing the signal, and therefore it's going to do what it does. But flat, good luck. On to the booster, the looper pedals. I exclusively use the Boss RC1s. Why? I believe that people have a looping issue about timing, because time is absolute. And when I first started looping, I'd never looped before until 2016, when I first got down here, started playing, and I thought everybody would want to hear some guy with an acoustic guitar playing some Jimmy Buffett. And although that is very common down here, it became obvious quickly that people wanted to watch some guitar picking. And I thought, well, shoot, number one, I better start getting some chops, and number two, I better get me a setup that guy can do that. An acoustic guitar wasn't going to be it. So I also needed a band. You know, I needed a band to play to when I was doing a solo act. So I initially bought a Ditto looper, the little small Ditto looper. Now this is in no way against that brand of pedal and that particular pedal, but here's the problem I experienced with one Ditto looper that I had, which was the very first one. It is a small single button. It's like this right here. You know, it's got one button. You can see I have little mushrooms on some of these, some of them I don't, but the Ditto looper has that little tiny button. And I just simply thought I was hitting it on the beat. And I just kept getting a hiccup in the looping of that diddle looper, and to the point of I thought, man, if this is how looping is, I'm never going to be able to do it. I can't seem to find, just a little bit of tempo, and exacting this. And then I came across these Boss RC1s, and there was so many. There was an incredible amount of selections, but I'm not saving anything that I do. I have since bought a Sharon looper that I only use for practicing, because the Sharon looper will save performances. But I don't do that live. I don't recall any performance that I've saved from anything from the past. So with that said, the Boss RC1s can be set up in different ways to step on them, and what they'll do when you hit them one time, there's a way to get a flow going. And for me, not only that, the biggest thing was that I've stepped on these things 500,000 times now, if not more, and I've never had a problem. Never had a problem. Yes, they need their maintenance like every other thing that's outside and getting stepped on, but it's a big, normal size footprint, and it's accurate. So what do I do? Let's do that little rock and roll riff so we can use some of these booster pedals. But listen, what I do is I get a groove, dampening the strings here, moving up and down with the right hand, and this is like the hi-hat. Then I step on this Boss RC looper, which then stays in the record mode once I hit it one more time. So watch that. 2, 3. It's still recording, which then allows me to do this. Then I kick it, now it's playing back. There you go. If you want to get really cool, you could do all kinds of stuff. But now, that pedal, let me stop it for a second. 2 hits to stop, 1 hit to record. That pedal now is going into that second one. And I shut it off. Live, I wouldn't do this, but while we're talking, I want to explain it to you. I'm going to send that quick percussive drum thing that I just made into the second pedal, while my guitar is also going in that direction. So now we're capturing not just the drums, but guitar performance. So I'm going to start all over. I'm going to erase this pedal by double stepping and holding it on the second step right there. And it's off. So it's clear. So I'm going to do that whole thing, and then I'm going to engage the second pedal and show you how to make this rhythm. Now, I have a playlist here called Loop Lessons, where I did in the past, about, I don't know, a year ago, whatever, I did about 5 or 6 songs. If you get a chance, go to that playlist, and you have this perspective, and I'm showing you what I'm doing. And the pedals are kind of the same, things have changed over the course of time, but that's to answer, several people have asked me about these RC loopers, the RC1s. This is why, that's it. This is why I use them. They are proven. I've got 1,200 plus shows with them, and they have never failed me live. Here comes the drum part. Second pedal, ready? Throw some phaser on there for me. Recording and stop the other one so we're not doing double drums. That's kind of cool. Now watch this. I'm going to play a bass line. 14 minutes of that kind of stuff you have on these pedals. Now, let's have some fun. We'll try our different effects. Let's hit our tap tempo delay. Let's hit that big one on. So that is just a quick demonstration. Maybe it isn't quick, but it's a demonstration, just doing things on the fly, what I felt like doing. As you can see, as you look down now, both of those pedals are erased, meaning that I'm ready to go to the next song, which is just a habit of mine. Because when I'm playing live, I have to engage this stuff and I have to figure out how to get out of something. That was nothing that I'm aware of what it was, other than just making something up. But if it was a song that we all knew, then I have to know how to get into it, and then I need to know how to get out of it. Now this is for entertainment purposes and playing live in front of people and trying to entertain. Nobody wants to hear you cleaning your pedals off all the time. At the house, you can do that all day long, but live, you can't do that. So I'm just in a habit of doing this stuff this way, and therefore these pedals now are clear. There's nothing saved to them. So whatever's next, we can surely just do whatever we would want to do and just have a ball. If somebody yelled out the, Rolling Stone. All right, well, listen, I was liking that so much I just kept on playing, but the idea was to show you how you could go into something and build something so incredibly fast. So we've covered two things today. I hope you've enjoyed the BUKOVAC Boost Concept, which he got along the way and is refined, and I would suggest that anybody that is interested in knowing more about this with much more detail, Tom is a great source. It's a little difficult to find the exact content of where it was because I couldn't tell you the episodes because they're not marked like that. But listen, if you're going to listen to somebody who's done it and doing it is a great source. So I just jumped to the front of the line. That's what I did. I thought, well, heck, he's doing it, so let me try it. Where we do differ, he's all into the amplifier stuff and the tube amps, and I am too. Back home, I've got got a nice vintage amplifier and everything, but it just makes no sense for me where I'm located here in Florida Keys. There's zero people to work on anything. You're looking at them, and I surely don't want to get into trying to get a $5,000, $6,000 vintage amplifier to sound the way it needs to do on a day like today, because I've been many a days down here. I've started and it's been a beautiful day, just a scamper to get your gear out of the weather. The other thing was about the nature of looping, and the nature of looping, why I do it the way that I do. Simple. These Boss RC1s are absolutely the finest thing that I've ever used. I do this for a living down here, and it is my band. You can see how quickly it can become what it needs to be. If I'm playing by myself, or even if I'm playing with the actual Coconut Cowboys, and I'm playing as the Coconut Cowboy when I'm solo, but when I get another fellow or the actual band, when we play these shows that we play down here on a bigger scale sometimes, I'll get the guys. I will always have to set up, as you're looking at it on the ground, I always have to set up even if I have the full band, because the biggest thing is I don't take a break on stage. So it's not uncommon for me to play 3-4+ hours. The last week's show I played 4 hours and 17 minutes without coming off the stage. I'm not trying to prove a point. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just telling you I don't have to, so I don't. You give people a chance down here in Paradise to go do something else, and they're going to go do it. So I get paid to perform, and that is what I do. And I've always been like that. When it comes to taking breaks, I'm not much about it. But I understand anybody who's got bad shoulders, bad back, a drummer can't sit for long periods of time. So if you're a Coconut Cowboy, you don't have to be punished by staying up on stage with me just because I'm staying there. But when you do leave, I have a sonic backup that is in place and ready to be used. So I hope this helps some of you beautiful folks that have asked. I know this was extensive, but if you've made it this far, well, I don't know any other way to make it shorter for you. If you wanted something 10 minutes, this is just not it. So maybe nobody's made it this far, and if you have, I hope that you've enjoyed it. I know I have. God bless you for watching this. If you have any particular questions about any of this I can help you out with, be glad to do it. Once again, being a member of the legendary Drifting Cowboys, and starting off with sonically simple, but yet solid, legendary kind of music, and ramping up to where I get to delve into today, it's quite a journey for me, even to this day. And I do a lot of session work. And when I started my session work in the 90s, things were being direct out of these guitar effects processors. So it wasn't as hard to find combinations in one unit to do things. And I missed all this stuff that I'm doing now. It was being done by other people, but it just wasn't being done by me. I wasn't needing to apply this on the road with the Drifting Cowboys or the acts I was playing with. And then in the studio, I had specific gear that one thing provided everything that you went directly out of. I didn't even need an amplifier. That was the 90s. The 90s were just different. Then as time's gone on, here I am, just going backwards, trying to chase just the blessings of what the beauty of sound can provide. And I have to tell you, it all starts with joy and thankfulness, and for me, that's what I have. So that's why I'm this way, I reckon, whatever that way is. But I hope you're enjoying what you get to watch here today. I want to tell you about these BG benders one more time quickly. Man, these Lindy Fralin pickups, man. And I hope that's how you feel about what you're doing. God bless you, and thank you guys for watching.